Today on the Morning Edition, ConocoPhillips workers on the North Slope have voted to unionize. We'll bring you the details on what's being discussed. Plus, gets ready for some summer fun and music headed our way. The Sundown Summer series of concerts is set for 5 weekends of music and fun rather than just one this year. We'll tell you why and tell you what you can expect. And later, what's the most natural thing to do when you've been married for 71 years? Well, stand up and say, "I still do," as you renew your wedding vows, of course. We'll take a peek at the ceremony and what's kept this couple together for so long as the Morning Edition starts now. Good morning, everyone. We are back here on a Monday, and we've got some weather going on in western Alaska.
Yeah, we've got winter storm conditions expected to impact areas of western Alaska. Quiet here across south central, southeast, and while we can't rule out some flurry activity through the interior this morning, the bigger impacts continue to be across western Alaska, where we are watching an area of low pressure churning through the Bering Sea. But we are waking up this morning to some colder conditions. 18 degrees currently in Anchorage, with winds out of the north up to 24 miles per hour. That does make it feel more like 5 degrees outside. So we are seeing some of those breezy conditions across parts of south central. You can see most of the state is on the quiet side. However, as you head just to the east of the Kamchatka Peninsula, we are watching another area of low pressure. This is going to lead to increasing winds, blizzard conditions, as well as some snow for areas of western and southwest Alaska. And this will stay with us through at least the middle of the week. You can see winter storm watches, winter storm warnings, advisories, as well as some blizzard warnings that have been issued up and down the western coast, including the northwestern Arctic Borough, which it continues to remain up under that blizzard warnings for extreme coastal areas, as well as Gamble, St. Lawrence. So be prepared for some gusty conditions here over the next couple of days, with winds up to about 60 to 65 miles per hour. You can see so far St. George winds up to 60 miles per hour, Gamble 40. And then as you head through the Aleutians, those winds of up to about 20 to 55 miles per hour. So as these winds steadily build eastward, we'll see decreasing visibility for areas of western Alaska. Those wind chills also an issue this morning, where it feels like 23 below in Nome, 25 below in Kotzebue, and 28 below in Gamble. Now, these are wind chills, but air temperatures will actually reflect this later this week on into the weekend, as we do tap into some colder conditions across the state. So we'll be talking about that in my full forecast. Coming up, we'll be talking more about that winter storm for western Alaska. Colder weather slides into the state. And yes, we're going to be talking about the return to some sub-zero values across south central.
The Anchorage School District is recommending the closure of 3 elementary schools at the end of this year. Fire Lake, Lake Otis, and Campbell Stem would all come close under the administration's new plan, meant to help offset a $90 million budget shortfall. At Fire Lake, the majority of its 153 students would move to Eagle River Elementary. 3 special needs classrooms would relocate to Alpenglow Elementary, and a handful of students would attend Chugiak Elementary. The district plans to offer the Fire Lake building to Eagle Academy Charter School to continue serving students. Families have been protesting the possible closure for years.
It's absolutely heartbreaking. This school supports so many kids with special needs, so many community families, so many low-income families.
At Lake Otis Elementary, students would be split based on where they live. The majority of Lake Otis students south of Tudor Road would attend Tudor Elementary. Those north of Tudor would go to Rogers Park Elementary. Special needs classrooms would move to Russian Jack and Airport Heights Elementary schools. The Lake Otis building would be offered to Rilke-Schule German Immersion School. At Campbell Stem Elementary, about 120 students living north of 76th Avenue would attend Willow Crest Elementary. Roughly 84 students would go to Gladys Wood Elementary, and about 45 would attend Platt. The district also plans to move several preschool programs to Taku and Sand Lake Elementary schools. The Campbell Stem building would be declared, quote, excess to the district's needs. O'Malley Elementary wouldn't close, but it would change significantly. The school would transition to serve only French immersion students. Neighborhood students currently attending O'Malley would be rezoned to Huffman Elementary. This change would allow the district to better align enrollment and staffing across the schools. And on the North Slope, ConocoPhillips workers have voted to unionize. The National Labor Relations Board shows 165 of 220 workers voted for the labor union in the Caparic and Alpine area. Local union organizers also say about 75% of people who voted about the Willow Field also said yes to unionizing. It's been in the works for a few months now. In December, ConocoPhillips confirmed it laid off about 10% of North Slope workers. In Anchorage, the fire department helped rescue a person from a fire at a mobile home park near DeBar and Burgaw Saturday. AFD says 2 people made it out on their own, one through the front door before flames later blocked it, and the other through a kitchen window. Firefighters found the 3rd person unconscious inside the mobile home and got that person out through a window. All 3 people were taken to the hospital. In the interior, an audit on the North Star Borough School District was completed, and safety services in Fairbanks are seeing progress with their staffing. Adelmi Ruiz joins us now from the newsroom with the latest details on these stories. Adelmi.
Kristen, the Fairbanks North Star Borough is reallocating more than $11 million in school district funds. It comes after a borough audit submitted this past week agreed with the district's findings that it had more money in its reserves than allowed by borough code. The transfer was set to happen Thursday night, with the money going into a reserve fund for maintenance of school buildings in the district. However, the money may not stay there, as leaders in both the borough and the district say they'd like the assembly to allow for the money to be used for district operations.
We have some very promising discussions, and I'm really looking forward to continuing the conversation with the borough so that we can all work together as a team to figure out the best uses for these funds.
The school district makes their recommendations on their budget to the assembly in March. And so at that time, it would probably be a pretty full-throated discussion on what it could be spent on and what they should be getting back.
The board has discussed adding positions at Saltra Elementary School and elementary music teachers across the district if they are allowed to use the money for operations. The school district has until April 1st to submit its recommended budget to the borough. And safety services for Fairbanks are seeing progress in staffing, which the city's fire chief says is helping to improve their speed. The city's mayor says the Fairbanks Fire Department is fully staffed. A recent budget boost added 9 firefighter positions, increasing daily staffing from 14 to 17 personnel.
Now, most days our engine companies are four-person, where in the past they were traditionally 3. And that extra person allows us to do tasks much faster, much more efficiently. And we've seen the benefit of that in the last few fires that we've seen since around New Year's.
The city is seeing similar momentum at the Fairbanks Police Department, boosted by lateral bonuses and recruitment incentives. The force has whittled its vacancies down to just 4 remaining positions. Kristen.
All right, thanks, Adelmi. Dozens of Alaskans spent their Sunday learning skills that could one day save their lives. A free avalanche rescue training brought people to Glen Alps to practice what to do if disaster strikes in the backcountry. Danny Tompkins headed to the mountains to see how many Alaskans were putting safety first.
The sound of shovels cutting through snow and beacons beeping filled Glen Alps Sunday, as people train for a scenario no one wants to face.
Letter is B for battery. So I have 90% battery. What battery strength do all of you have?
I'm out here just getting my first exposure at all to avalanche training.
That's awesome. What have you learned so far?
Really just the basics of how probes, beacon, shovel, just all of the basics.
Participants practiced with these 3 essential tools for backcountry rescue: avalanche beacons, probes, and shovels.
So it's absolutely critical to practice these skills. You know, a lot of folks will take a course and then over the few years will go by and their skills might get a little bit rusty. So getting that practice in is super critical.
Every winter, avalanches claim lives across the state. The Anchorage Nordic Ski Patrol says that this Front Range alone has taken about 25 lives over the years due to avalanche. Now, the about 60 people here today are learning that preparation and practice could make the difference between tragedy and survival. The training was organized by Joe Kurdick, who lost 2 friends to a nearby avalanche more than 30 years ago.
2 good friends of mine were killed in an avalanche on the mountain right behind us here in Peak 3 back in 1994, Bruce Hickok and Jeff Radford. and they were very good friends of mine. It was a tragic accident, and what I do here is in tribute to them.
Avalanche experts say practicing in low-stress environments prepares you for real emergencies.
I like the quote, "We don't rise to the occasion, we fall back on our system." So usually when you're stressed out and strung out, you're not the best version of yourself.
Sunday was all about training that could mean the difference between life and death in Alaska's backcountry. Danny Tompkins, Alaska's news source.
Well, Showdown Alaska announced the dates of their summer concert series. The creators of the Sundown Festival in years past are opting to produce 5 weekends of concerts instead of the usual one. In years past, they've hosted artists like Nelly, Diplo, and local musician Medium Build, many of them in downtown Anchorage. This year, Town Square Park is being remodeled as part of the city's effort toward revitalization. Showdown Anchorage is hoping to help out with that by hosting these concerts. Through this year, they will be hosting the concerts on F Street near Willowa Social. Now, they haven't confirmed any artists yet, but they said their goal is to showcase local artists as much as they can.
There's a lot of major national acts, as well as that provides us the luxury of putting on more local artists. And that's always been a primary goal of ours, is getting more local artists on a big stage and a big platform in front of thousands of people instead of, smaller cafes and venues.
Well, coming up, it's officially time to start your engines and get on the trail, the Iron Dog Trail. The race set off over the weekend, and we check in with racers in McGrath. We'll see how they're loving the snow and the weather as they trek the 2,500-mile trail next.
And that active weather out west will continue to break down what to expect through the next couple of days, as well as some colder weather heading into the state. I'll have more on that, but first at sunrise, 8:38 in Anchorage, 7:26 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Welcome back in on this Monday morning, and we are keeping an eye on some weather, a winter storm in western Alaska. Aaron, what can you tell us?
Well, we are going to see increasing winds, some blizzard conditions, and lowering visibility. Now, that snow chance out west will eventually lead to some light accumulation for South Central by midweek. But, of course, today we're going to be watching increasing winds, some blizzard conditions, as well as heavy snowfall that's going to spread into western and southwest Alaska. Now, current conditions showing temperatures sitting below zero, although when you factor in those winds, for many areas it feels about 20 degrees colder than what the actual air temperature is reflecting. 39 in St. George, 11 degrees in Bethel, and then along the slope, we've got those temperatures sitting anywhere from about 15 to 25 below. So fairly quiet for mainland Alaska, but there's our area of low pressure out into the Bering that we are going to continue to watch here over the next couple of days. And as it builds inland, it's going to lead to some widespread snowfall. Looks like we've forgot to put some pause points on that, so we are going to drag this for you to give you an idea of what we are going to see across a good portion of western and southwest Alaska as we start this map over. So we've got the area of low pressure out towards eastern parts of the Kamchatka Peninsula. You can see widespread rain pushing through parts of the central and eastern Aleutians, largely expecting rain for the Aleutians. But as you head into southwest Alaska throughout mid-morning and early afternoon, there's that snow arriving. Now, unlike last week, which is some good news, you're not going to see areas of localized areas of wintry mix and freezing drizzle out towards the Kuskokwim Delta coastline, but you will see that heavy snowfall and gusty winds that will stick around. That builds inland through the overnight hours on into our Tuesday. A secondary band of some snow spreads in on the backside of that. And that's what we're going to be watching as it builds eastward. That will lead to additional snow accumulation for the interior as well as in South Central by the middle of the week. Of course, notice as it builds into South Central by Wednesday, it really begins to fall apart. So if we see anything, we may amount to about an inch or so of that snowfall accumulation. Then much drier weather taking hold through the rest of this week. So when it comes to that snowfall accumulation, be prepared for several inches out west. Again, winter storm watches, blizzard warnings, as well as winter weather advisories. Those visibilities could be greatly reduced for immediate coastal areas. But notice we could see several inches of snowfall accumulation out towards the Seward Peninsula through Norton Sound, the Nulato Hills. We could see the potential for nearly double digits in terms of that snowfall accumulation. Even into the interior later this week, we are watching another round of some heavier snowfall. So for Bethel, you can see that snow sticking around through Wednesday, highs staying in the 20s, if not near 30. And then as that system clears, we're going to tap into some colder conditions with single-digit highs looking likely by week's end, with overnight lows dropping down near sub-zero values. Now, snow chances across South Central, not as promising this week, but we are watching midweek, which could bring a light dusting of that snowfall. For today, though, sunshine sticks around. We'll see those temperatures warming into the teens and the 20s, if not near freezing for coastal areas. And then looking ahead to close out February and welcome in March, be prepared. Colder weather will take over for a good portion of the state. I'll have more on that for you coming up.
The Iron Dog race is on, and the racers checked in at McGrath over the weekend before heading out this morning on their way around the Kotzebue Loop. Charlie Fellows and Jordan Rodenberger were out at McGrath to check on how things were going so far.
As the first few Iron Dog racers jetted down the Kuskokwim River toward McGrath, the evening sun still lingered.
It felt really good to get here in the daylight. I've done it like once in my whole career, getting here in the daylight.
And as the sky grew darker, more racers began to roll in, each sled with a story to tell.
Well, we had to break quite a bit of trail, so we lost a lot of time there, so it's less than ideal. But, I mean, we're here clean, so we saw some other teams had some issues, so that's the biggest thing, get here clean on day one.
I mean, it was pretty nasty leaving Big Lake, but then it was a little snowy through the pass, and then it was like actually a really nice day. Like all in all, it was pretty nice weather, way better than I expected it to be.
Oh, they're close.
Blankets of fresh snow tucked in the sleds overnight as a new day of Iron Dog welcomes racers in the morning. After tuning up and fueling up, most teams left McGrath by Sunday afternoon without a hitch. But for one title contending team, their race was over before it ever really began.
Came off a tussock on the left-hand side of the trail, loaded up the shock and shot me to the right-hand side of the trail, and it was about a maybe 2-inch in diameter spruce tree, about 3 foot tall, ripped the whole side of the sled off.
Team 6, Mike Morgan and Bradley Kishbaugh from race leaders to out of the race, scratching in Nikolai Saturday night.
No, it didn't feel like we were taking any chances, didn't feel like we were riding stupid or crazy, we were just cruising. And when you're traveling that fast, high risk, high reward, you know, and the margin for error is pretty slim.
By Sunday night, racers and their machines hope to be resting in Unalakleet before taking on the Kotzebue Loop on Monday.
And we'll be catching back up with the race once they reach the halfway point in Nome. We'll have updates all the while. From McGrath, Charlie Fellows.
Jordan Rodenberger, Alaska's news source.
And here's a look at the current leaderboard as of about 6 this morning. Most teams have reached Unalakleet and are now resting before heading towards Shaktoolik. Right now, Team 7, Ackelstad and Olstad are in first place, making it into Unalakleet shortly after 10 last night, followed by Team 3, Barber and Booth, who made it into Unalakleet about 40 minutes later. Teams 5, 10, and 49 round out the top 5. And while it's not quite the same as racing here at home in the snow, the Winter Olympic Games are still going on in Italy. Let's check in on the medal count. As of about 5:30 this morning, Norway is simply running away with the top spot, 27 total medals. 12 of them gold. The U.S. has dropped into 4th place now, 17 total medals, but only 5 of them gold.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.